So they're going to be the our very superb PopUp Mainframe product demo. We've actually got a demo application called Next Generation Bank. Okay, what is PopUp Mainframe? Well, the answer's in the name. We can pop up a full mainframe platform in roughly 10 minutes in the cloud and on-prem, and we're going to be doing it in the Azure cloud today in under 10 minutes. Well, a lot less than that because bits of it are sped up. We don't hide the fact that this is a pre-installed, optimized and pre-configured IBM ZD&T. In fact, we're rather proud of it because it's a great product, but we've made it a lot more available. So using our own utilities, we'll show how we build a production-esque GDPR-compliant environment that can be administered in a self-service model. You will see that the developer experience is revolutionized because the developer can test against very easily, commit their code, get it deployed in all of an automated fashion. We say in PopUp, use cases are only limited to your imagination. Welcome to the world of PopUp Mainframe. Okay, so what we've done here is we're using this concept of snakes and ladders. I think the term is something different in the US, but we'll go with snakes and ladders because I'm from the UK. Chutes and ladders, chutes and ladders. Snakes are to me a little bit more venomous than a chute. And this is what happens trying to do mainframe DevOps and doing dev and test. There's lots of pitfalls to cutting code quickly. So in this concept, we show how you can get up to the top of the board and release your code with quality. So what are we going to be showing you today? Sorry if those are a little bit small, but we'll be spinning up the PopUp Mainframe base image in Azure. We'll deploy our application architecture from Git. We'll then show how we mask the data. After the data is masked, we'll create this gold image. We'll then ingest this gold image into Delphix continuous data. And then we show how, once ingested, we can provision out an environment and how we can make change on that. And if we choose to, we can rewind it out, all done by one developer. Okay, so here we are. We're going to spin up the base image. Takes its first ladder here. And what we're going to show you here, how quickly we can install a full mainframe into the cloud. So as I said earlier, we can actually run this in any cloud. We do have a partnership with Azure, and nearly every organization has some Azure, so it's a good place to start. Yeah, we've got it running in AWS and Google Cloud as well, and also the IBM Cloud. So we can meet any client where they want a PopUp Mainframe. But here, for example, literally we can just publish out the subscription, and an organization can take it in. I'm not going to take you through all the boxes, but this is where we're defining the virtual machine, and this is where we give it memory and CPU. The smallest one is like a 16 gig, has to have a minimum of 4 vCPUs, but you only give one of those to ZD&T. But we have some clients with 512 GB of memory, a big machine running like a full exact production copy with multiple vCPUs. But the good thing is you can swap them between different machines in your estate, so to power up or power down as and when you need to. But anyway, this is just going through quickly how you set this up. So this would obviously be stage 1, and then I think you click create, and that will actually provision the virtual machine in the cloud.
So what security protocols are you using for these environments?
This is using SSL, but you can use whatever security protocols that's available with Azure. You can highly secure it as and when what the client standards are. So the clients has often conversations with how they want to bring it in, and some of our clients are in the sort of national infrastructure space. So we have they've demanded very high security. So they've helped us develop that. Anyway, so at the moment we're just allocating it and understanding the IP so that we can then log into that virtual machine. So we're just being given an IP address. So we're now remoting into that. That's actually installing a license key here. So it connects to, there's its own pop-up key that's highly secure, as well as the IBM license server that it needs to connect to run. So here we are. It's just about to log on, and then all we need to do is just pretty much run the install like I put for Windows installer. This is the ZD&T. It needs to connect to this license server to see where to make sure it's got a license, and then off it goes. And then the slowest part of the installation is decrypting all the volumes that are obviously for good reason. They come like that from IBM. And so now it's just running this process. So we have sped this bit up by 20 times, but actually the whole thing end to end can be done experience operated between 6 to 8 minutes. And to me, that is a game changer for getting mainframes up and running. So now we're just running the IPL process here, and you know, have a little nap while that's happening. Even I used to be an operator, and sometimes it used to take 40 minutes. So even 5 minutes, I'm very happy with that. Yeah, and you can play with it a bit, but to me, in the grand scheme of things, if you're used to mainframes, to me that's very fast. So now we're just gonna log in and get that fired up. And the way you get into a pop-up is exactly the same as you would on a physical mainframe. So you would use your emulator session, and so you do have to be careful and label them, because once you're on a pop-up, you don't know if you're on the physical, if you're on a virtual. So yeah, be warned, as someone who was an operator and had production environments and test environments, I made one mistake once and I never did it again. Anyway, here we are logging into PopUp Mainframe. And but of course, you know, the way that you'd have your developers, they wouldn't be able to get near your production infrastructure, and they could just, you know, they could use these. And here we are. So it looks vaguely familiar. TSO session, done a few of those in your time. No different. BTAM, and yeah, just logging on to that, and then we'll be up and running. But yeah, it's you know, juniors, or if you don't want to log in this way, you don't have to be productive. But we have lots of senior people in PopUp Mainframe that have helped us do this with, you know, one has nearly 45 years experience. He likes this, believe it or not. I don't know why.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Interface in the world with that system. A quick question for you.
Yeah, sure.
The ADCD that you unpack, is that all of the volumes you get, everything there? So if you built this and left it there, you could, if you wanted to, make some changes to it and tweak it if you wanted to?
Yeah, exactly. So once you've got it there, so it's a really good question. So once you've got a pop-up into your estate, you can you know, you can match it to the PTF level, with, you know, with SMPE or down. So you can align it 100% to what you've got. So a really good use case is a production fixed use case for a pop-up. But anyway, let's go and deploy and configure the application. So our example that we're using, that we've created, is called the Next Gen Bank. It's next generation. And so what we're showing you, we're mocking the fact that we're taking data from a live environment. So this is unmasked production data using a UI, and then this is the new gold copy UI that is connecting in to the pop-up that's just been installed. And as you can see, there's no data because there's no application and nothing has been installed. So we're going to trigger the pipeline. This is GitHub Actions that you're looking at. And so
is DB2 on board now, or are you installing DB2?
DB2's already, everything's pre-installed. Kix, DB2, MQ, IMS, all of that is all started. So that comes in 10 minutes. And now we're going from GitHub Actions and we're going to install the full application. We've created our own Git sync proprietary IP to copy out of Git and onto the mainframe. So it's taking all the COBOL, DBRMs, Kix programs, DeckelGens, all of this stuff. And then it copies it over locally. And then the generate compile step, obviously it's slightly sped up, is going to then compile all those programs. The data is loaded and all the binds are performed. And then it also does a refresh into Kix with the Kix new program, normally a system programmer task. The pipeline can handle that. And then in order to test this, we've actually using Selenium driven through the front end UI to test all of the end to end to prove out that the build is built correctly and fit for purpose. And we're actually moving that to Glasser very shortly, as that's now available as a default with the PopUp to help with the testing and getting those distributed technologies tested on the mainframe. Right.
Have you looked into the Open Mainframe project's help about the Linux deployment? I know this is not an open source product, but they may be able to give you some insight.
Yes. Yeah, we are. Yeah. I am connected, and we are talking to them. So here's the bit, and we're going to migrate. Sorry, the data's actually been migrated and loaded into DB2, but now we're going to mask it. So this is not a Delphix demo, but basically all the algorithms have been set up and the pipeline is executing those masking jobs on the mainframe so that the data can be masked again by, in whatever tool chain you like. We're using GitHub Actions, but that could be Jenkins. It could be whatever, doesn't matter. And so now you're looking at the PopUp Gold environment and we've masked the data. So we're just giving you a quick compare, showing you what has been masked and what hasn't. So we've masked the card number here, and we've also masked the name. But you might want to mask the other fields, but because this is a demo, we're just showing you, now that the names are masked, and that's all been handled. So the great thing about it, you can reuse algorithms you've used on Oracle or whatever. That's quite powerful to use on mainframe. I think Mark has got a question.
So just back to something you said before. So if you've got a client who's sensitive about the data leaving the mainframe, you can mask it on the mainframe first.
Correct.
Then sync it if you
want.
want.
That's it. So you can then mask very securely, then get it over. And the other thing is, you don't have to use Delphix. So if you've got existing masking products that you know and love, it will just work with the other Delphix virtualization products. So we're not forcing you to use this. It's just, it's a solution. But you can use whatever to mask with or keep what you've already got.
Okay. Question. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
No, you go ahead.
All right. So I'm trying to change the topics. I'm sorry, but the client that you're using there, the web client, is not secure. So where kind of is the architecture of where that client was? So,
well, it's on a web. It's a GitHub Actions. It could be secure into your local environment. So you can secure anything of what we've used.
okay.
But I guess I'm not really sort of trying to show that today. And I'll carry on with this presentation because the clock is ticking. I'll try and address that later.
Okay.
So now we're into QMF, and we're just showing that because what we're doing is we're baselining now this gold copy. So we're just showing that name, Kenny Cupins, again to show that is.
I've never seen. I've been teaching DB2. Well, anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So now what we're doing is, now we're into Delphix. So just the way that it works. So we have to create an environment into the Delphix engine, and it's just going through the setup there. So it needs a username and password to do its work, all the usual sort of thing. And this can all be secured at a very granular level. And now, after it's created this environment, so you tell it that it's going to be a mainframe, it actually defaults, it actually says you're using DB2 data, but actually, when you bring the PopUp into Delphix, you're bringing the whole file system into the whole thing. So it treats it all the same. It doesn't just rewind the database, it rewinds the whole machine as well. So, and now it uses this concept of a D source, data source. So we're going to ingest this gold image. So this mainframe that's PopUp mainframe that's on a file system. What it does is we create a mount point into Delphix. So in order to use the Delphix magic and the compression that it has and this forward rewind bookmark features, it needs to be in Delphix, and it uses pointers to the virtual copies. And that's how you get the compression. So the data moves of the pointers. So that's why you get this 90% compression. It's not full copies of the data, it's just the movement of it. And then it does some of its own checkpointing, so that it knows where it is, and you don't get data corrupted. And then literally what we do here is we then just copy all of the volumes, all of the ZOS volumes of the PopUp, and we could bring that into Delphix. So that is probably the longest hole in the tent of this, and that takes about an hour because you're copying quite a lot of data. But really, that's only a one-time thing that you need to do. Obviously, you might want to work with more gold copies. And then we actually take a snapshot of that, because although we're not going to show it, that's a pop-up in itself. So you can move data to this dsource pop-up, so you can refresh and propagate changes down to your virtual environments. So let's show that that now, where we create another mainframe. And so obviously we went through that process of installing the mainframe. Now we are being able to create brand new environments from scratch in 4 to 5 minutes. So they can just be provisioned out onto other virtual machines, and they can be used by teams. That's why maybe a DBA wants to test the latest version of DB2 and actually show some application components, and that can just be self-serviced. Might be done by an environments team or whatever, but you get the concept of the agility for the organization. And
there's a lot of configuration time.
So indeed. So we're just showing again. So this is another pop-up, different IP address. That's quickly flashed up there. So that now we've got a copy of that of the pop-up that we brought into the D source. So imagine now that's been provisioned out to a developer that wants to test an urgent change, very important bit of new functionality. So this is right at the top of the Snakes and Ladders board now, because he's about to make a change. So we're just quickly showing here on this dash that you can see the transaction history, making a change to the transaction history service, and you can see there's a balance there. So we need to create some new functionality. So back into GitHub, and what we're doing here is we're just going to copy the change and the code change onto the local machine. This is what's happening here by one of my esteemed colleagues doing this. Never actually personally done this myself, but it's very easy for people familiar with this to do it. And anyway, so we can see that we're doing a fix, and you'll see a COBOL program flash up here. What we've done here, the transaction inquiry, we're changing a flag, and as if we're mocking a whole new bit of functionality. The purposes of this demo, obviously, watching me edit COBOL with somebody over my shoulder would not make a great demo. So we've done it this way, but you get the picture. But the important thing is that once that code is committed, you'll see the commit button being hit. Then that will again kick off the pipeline, and all those changes and those Kix changes, DB2 changes, all of those, that can all be handled by the pipeline. You don't need to ring system programmer or anybody else to do those changes. That can be managed by the pipeline. Obviously, it needs to be authorized and set up in advance to do that, but you get the ROI once you've done that and you're working this way. And as part of this, there's a full regression test of the application using total tests. So all the unit testing is regression tested, and then you can do functional testing as well. But this is a rather simple example. But you can see the regression test cases are executing a little bit faster than they would, and then the code is now being deployed, and then we're going to run that UI test again, so we can validate our changes and prove out and make sure that everything is working as it is, and the end-to-end change has been successful before then probably promoting it up to another test environment for another round of testing. But here we're just this is at the unit testing stage. But you're testing against production compliant mass data, which is very powerful. Lots of organizations have data that's 4 or 5 years old and doesn't match and creates all sorts of problems. So you get that. Anyway, oh dear, it's down the chute, Snake, and there's been a failure. The UI has failed, to the annoyance of the developer. What have I done here? What have I done wrong? We're just showing there's 0 balances now. So they've regressed the application, but he's found out at a very early stage that this has happened, and this is really powerful. And you could actually use the DevOps software, like Program Analyzer, so you could then deploy it again and then trace that transaction through and see what results, what's gone wrong. So all of that sort of on this BMC PopUp as well, and the IBM PopUp has equivalent software on it. But the important thing is, and we're showing it getting to the top, there's a get out of jail free card for the developer. His change has gone wrong. Maybe it's multiple failures on a big regression test pack, but the whole environment can just be rewound by, if the developers has access, or potentially it could be the environments team. Please can you rewind and restore the whole mainframe to the baseline that you can see there that we took right at the start, and you can take as many checkpoints as you want. So a great use case is being able to test the whole batch window from 1 to 30 and being able to forward and rewind along that and put changes in down the line because of events that happened on day 7. So you can really start seeing the power of that, of being able to test batch in a really agile way. But yeah, here we are. It's now we've, by going back, you can see that everything on the current account and the transaction history is back as it is, and the developer can now start again and fix that change. So that was, so I hope we showed actually quite a lot today, but we feel this really lifts off, organizations, mainframe organizations that really want to start working like this. Most organizations that have people familiar with this doing CI/CD, but they might not be doing on mainframe, but the PopUp will allow you to do that and do it in a safe way with compliant data. So I don't know if we've got any questions.
I asked mine.
All right.
Powerful.
I have
information.
one.
Of course.
So when you talk about compliant data,
Mm-hmm.
do you offer pre-services? Because it's only as compliant as the client you're going in to help, right?
Yeah, so we have data experts that and we can work with them and their data security team to understand the changes. So I didn't really get into the whole algorithm bit, but we offer that, and we can understand based on, it's normally an exercise with cross-member team of the organization to understand what have they got already, do they have a data compliance officer, all of this to then make the changes. And you can iteratively change until you get sign off and do that in a secure fashion on the mainframe. Maybe we don't have, they don't give us access. We work with their team who has access. That's the reality.
I have a question. real quick.
Sure.
Packaging and pricing. So it seems like there's a lot that's required. So they have to have your access to your GitHub and
No,
no?
no. This is just what was in our lab.
Oh, it,
No, they'd have their own GitHub installations.
Okay.
Literally, they'll purchase the pop-up. They can either buy the standard one or the DevOps pop-up with the offerings around that, and then they can literally just bring that in to Azure or wherever they want to do it, and off they go. And all the IBM software is already licensed because it's licensed on ZD&T.
so it's licensed. That's part of the price.
Yeah,
that
that's
they
part of the
pay?
pricing that we offer. Yes.
Okay, and so all they'll really have to have is their preferred cloud.
Yes,
the
that's right.
Preferred cloud, and then the package that you give them, and everything's included.
Correct. Yeah, we make it as easy and simple as possible. Yes.
Quick question on the just on the data. We've concentrated on DB2 here, so presumably it's across the map in terms of other data sources that you would be able to ingest.
Yeah, we can. So because it ingests the whole file system of the ZD&T, it will ingest all the data. So IMS, the Broadcom database product as well. I've got the name off the top of my head. That one as well. Yeah. So, but basically, if we can get anything to a flat file, we can mask it.
Okay.
So we've got utilities to do that, and then we can load it back up. The Delphix works on the fly with Delphix. With DB2, it works a bit. It works slightly differently. There's more flexibility, but that's the thing. We've managed to mask all different data types, and that's one of the powers of the solution. So we've got Hogan pop-ups as well, where we can mask all that Hogan data.
Okay. And though you just mentioned, you just talked about programs compiling under the new environment.
Yeah.
There's a compiler required, presumably, for that to happen. Where's that coming from? Is that part of your reference environment as well? Or
Yes.
do you expect the client to have that already?
No. So with ZD&T, there's different versions available, and we've got basically got 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. And 3.1 as well. So that will count, and that normally has 2 versions of everything on anyway.
Yeah.
So it offers great flexibility. So that comes as standard. And then if you do need to add a different compiler or do something, you can do that on client side. Because when we build the pop-ups, obviously we're migrating all that proprietary code anyway. So we stand up their application. So you can have it as you like.
Yeah.